I'm trying to go on a lot of dates. That's my initiative.
Gorge.
Because I'm trying to like I'm trying to fill my schedule and with work and with friends and with dates because I want to be less depressed this winter.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Welcome to Basic Trading, a podcast for people that need help.
And people that find dates instead of hobbies.
Do you struggle with seasonal depression? Like, do you get bad in the winter?
Yeah, big time, because I've never had a winter until I moved here.
Oh. So is this your third winter coming up or your third? And the first two were bad?
Like really, really bad.
Oh,
like
okay.
I used to laugh off seasonal depression. I didn't think it was real. I thought everyone.
Some people it hits hard.
It hits really hard.
Okay, I'm glad you're setting up. I'm glad you're like thinking about it now.
And I'm not even a person who likes heat. I hate heat. I prefer cold. But it's more the lack of people around.
It's the people and the light. I think the sunlight is a big part of it.
It's so isolating. It's so sad.
It sucks.
You got it?
Yes and no. Not as bad as other people, but I definitely like I feel like people are like, I love winter because I love like staying in and being cozy, and I'm like, I can't do that or I will get depressed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really proactive about like making like kind of essentially what you're doing. I'm very proactive about like filling my schedule and make sure it's like going on.
Right. I'm trying to like have people, and by people I mean like sex partners to look forward to, and people to always text to come over when I'm like sad in the winter, and I have to like plan accordingly for that. Or like maybe I don't know, maybe things will go good. I'll get a little boyfriend.
Well, that's why they call it cuffing season.
Exactly.
Because, like,
everyone gets cuffed.
Yeah, I hate that term.
I don't like it either. It feels misogynistic in a way.
It deeply does. It deeply does. Because it's like someone's imprisoning someone. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Speaking of that, what's your take on Sophie Turner, Joe Jonas moment?
Oh, see, like, I mean, I think Sophie Turner is very charming and really funny, and I don't know anything about Jonas Brothers, so but I also, like, I'm not going to pick a team. I don't really know either of them.
Right.
But, like,
I don't really know either of them either, but I'm obviously team Sophie Turner.
Well, yeah, because it's the woman.
Because she's the woman, and also, like, okay, I'll say this. Before everyone goes combing through my Instagram and finds, like, the 12 pictures I've taken at Jonas Brothers concerts and calls me a hypocrite, I am a Jonas Brothers fan. I've been to many live shows of theirs, because I think they're, like, no offense, like a great nostalgia act. Like all the songs are like memorable, funny.
Yeah.
Does anyone like stan the Jonas Brothers as
many
people?
Many people do.
I can't relate to that.
Truly thousands of people.
I just don't find any of them like charismatic or interesting enough for me to ever have been like,
I thought Nick Jonas was
God.
very funny on that show, Scream Queens. I liked that show.
Oh, I didn't watch it.
Oh, okay.
But like, I just don't, they're all extremely talented, honestly, but like none of them have like the star quality for me to be like, interested in their personal lives. I got invited to the premiere of Chasing Happiness. Like I was invited to be like standing behind the barricade. It's their documentary.
Oh, okay.
In 2019. I actually specifically remember the day that I went. I think it was June 3rd because that was the day before I got an abortion. Anyways, I walked the red carpet at Jonas Brothers Chasing Happiness, right?
Pregnant?
Yeah. What? You couldn't tell. I wasn't showing or anything.
You chased your happiness all the way to Planned Parenthood.
At least I can say, you know what? A lot of fetuses can't say that they got that close to Kevin Jonas in their time of their life. That baby lived a full ass life. Most people don't get to see all three Jonases plus the wives in their whole lifetime, let alone before they've exited the womb, before they've developed a heartbeat. So I gave that fetus quite a life before I terminated it because I took it. I walked it all the way to Westwood for the Jonas Brothers documentary premiere right before I went to Planned Parenthood. That is a nice thing to do for a baby. Anyway.
Okay.
It was like an interesting documentary, but I have this vivid memory of my friend and I walking out and being like, were they that famous? Like they really act like they're like the Beatles, like they're this huge deal in the documentary and otherwise. And like to be a wife of a Jonas was like this huge score for these girls. Like they act like people were lining up and everyone was waiting to see who would be the wives of the Jonas Brothers. Well, I think that
there's like, I feel like there's two kinds of fame though, because it's like, are they like, I'm trying to like, are they like Beyonce level fame where they like, no, well, I know.
Okay,
that.
You're making a comparison.
Like, right. Where like they can't, like they actually literally can't go certain, like it's like a level of fame that is like the Taylor's, like really like Taylor Swift, Beyonce.
No,
like,
they can go wherever they want.
But do I think that the fans they do have are actually like really intense? Yes.
Yes, but I think that can be said about any group at all, of any
Sure,
level.
but
like, there's always intense fans.
Yeah, sure. I think that I always think about, I feel like we've talked about this on this podcast, but I think it's really an interesting point. Fran Lebowitz said it in Pretend It's a City, where she was like, musicians are specifically famous in a way that literally no one else is.
Right.
Because like, music makes you feel so personally connected to them,
right,
in a way that makes people actually go crazy. And I do think that's like what happens with the Beatles, what happens with the Jonas Brothers, what happens with Taylor Swift, with Beyonce.
Right.
I think that is the interpersonalness of that is really crazy.
Absolutely, and I agree with you and Fran, but I think that the Jonas Brothers think that they have a cultural significance that they don't have.
Okay.
Like, this
I guess I haven't seen the documentary,
was
so
very interesting for sure, but like my friend and I both took away like, they really have a self-importance. Like, they think that they like made such an impact in culture in a way that like, I guess I don't know enough. I still, after watching the documentary, I just don't feel that they were like, I don't remember them ever being top of mind for me.
Well, it's also, I wonder, I think you partially maybe have to think that way if you get famous young.
Right. They think that it's their whole world.
Yeah.
They think that they're really a big deal in terms of like American music culture.
Totally.
I think that they, like, any famous person is a big deal. They were big Disney stars. They were a big deal.
Totally.
And they still are, because they can like sell out Yankee Stadium, but like, were they like the Beatles? No, they didn't have that kind of impact.
Yeah, totally.
That's just the takeaway that I got from the documentary.
That makes sense. That makes total sense.
And it seemed like, my point being, they make it seem like just the way that they've marketed the whole, like, the three brothers and the three wives, and they're all friends, and they take the kids on tour together. It's like as though it was a prize to win a Jonas, like as though people were lining up and everyone was clamoring, waiting to see who would be the Jonas Brothers' wives and who would get chosen and plucked out of obscurity like the first one.
Right, which is funny because in my mind, Sophie Turner and Priyanka Chopra were both more famous than the Jonas Brothers.
Thank you. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm saying that they didn't win Jonas Brothers. Like, Nick
like Game
and
of Thrones
Jonas
could be compared to the Beatles in terms of how big it was at one point culturally.
Absolutely.
Like not
the
not in the long
impact,
term, but in the acute moment maybe.
Thank you. And like in terms of like how seriously they were taken as artists on Game of Thrones versus like the Jonas Brothers. I love the Jonas Brothers. I would see them in concert
no, I think that's an
anytime,
interesting point.
But like Nick and Joe lucked out with Priyanka and Sophie. Like, that is my belief.
Totally. I hear what you're saying.
And it's like so weird to me that they think that, like, it seems like they think that the girls lucked out. And it's like, no, they didn't. Like, you're not cooler than Sophie Turner. She was on Game of Thrones.
No, totally. And she was Jean Grey. I'm a big X-Men fan.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so I don't even know what that is. But Sophie Turner is fucking cool. She also, here's another example. Joe, huge band, whatever, huge Disney career. I've seen him in concert. I've paid to see this guy play music. You couldn't pay me to like Wikipedia him. I don't care about his life. Whereas like Sophie Turner, I've never seen Game of Thrones, but she has star quality. I'm just like very interested in her. I think she's funny. I like want to follow her on Instagram. I want to stalk her TikTok.
And she's cool.
I'm curious about her life. Like, I just think she's cool. I would like watch interviews of hers, whereas like I couldn't care less about what Joe Jonas has to say. So it's like, and she's also younger than him, like significantly younger than him. I'm just like trying to like get the whole scoop on this thing. I just like really don't like him right now. Okay,
interesting. I could not like. I like them as people. The fact I could not care less that they're getting like it's just not part of my
it's not part of my life. It only is significant to me because I feel like I learned a lot about their love life and history through that documentary, which was only so memorable to me because it was the day before my abortion.
That all makes. I mean, you painted a really clear picture for me.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Anyway, what's going on with you?
Oh, okay. So I went to a wedding this weekend.
Yeah.
Remarkable for multiple reasons. One,
tell me.
It was in New York City. And when you live in New York, a wedding in New York City is one of the most luxurious things you can experience. I
have one on Saturday.
Oh, it's the best thing in the world.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Because like every wedding I've gone to since I've moved to New York has been out of town. Every single wedding in the past 9 years.
I don't believe in asking your guests to come anywhere an hour or more away from where most of them live.
Yeah, I mean, but it's so much more expensive usually to get married in the city that everyone goes away. Like
every
wedding I've gone to has been outside of the city. One was in Jersey, and that was great because it was still really close. But to literally not have to book an Airbnb, a hotel room, like an Amtrak. Literally, I just like it was on Roosevelt Island, so we took the subway and then took the tram, and it was so fun. I'm obsessed. Weddings in New York are the best. It was on the East River, and like during the ceremony, a ferry full of people went by and everyone started cheering and like everyone turned.
Oh, that's fun.
It was wonderful. The other thing about it, and it did not, it was my first time going to a marriage of two men, a gay wedding.
Right. It was your first time ever?
Yes.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yes. Did not factor that in. Did not think like, oh, you might have an emotional reaction to this in a way that is different than every other wedding you've ever gone to.
That's so cute.
And then the ceremony started, and I started crying at what I would say was an inappropriate level. Because I love these two guys that got married.
Right.
We are newer friends. I got a text like 3 weeks, a month ago that was like, hey, like we've had enough of our family that can't make it. We have extra spots at the wedding. We would love to invite you. Like I was a second tier invite, which which I'm not like complaining about.
That's always
but
fun,
but there were first tier invite people sitting towards the front of the ceremony who were barely crying.
Right.
Meanwhile, me, I'm struggling to not make too much sound. I'm like, like really crying. Like my roommate like put his hand on my leg, was like you're okay. Like it affected me on a deep level. It was a lot.
Just because to see two guys that you love getting married, or like what was it? Like, don't cry.
I'm not gonna cry.
You look like you're gonna cry.
I'm not gonna cry. It like I started because right at the beginning, two men walked down the aisle together. Yeah. They're on the East River. The Manhattan skyline is behind them.
Right. It was a beautiful moment.
And then a ferry full of hundreds of New Yorkers rode by and all started cheering, and the two grooms turned and waved, and the entire ferry started screaming.
Aww.
So it was like one of the best New York moments of my life. Tears immediately.
Okay.
And then from then on, it was, first off, their officiant killed it. Beautiful ceremony. Quick, like to the point, but really hard.
Keep the wedding ceremonies snappy, please.
But yeah, I realized like, because I've always had very mixed, my parents are divorced, very divorced.
Right,
I've like gone back and forth about how I feel about marriage throughout my life. And then I realized, like watching two men who are very much in love get married, I was like, like now I understand why straight people feel this way about marriage watching these weddings their whole life. Because like, I've never related to that. And this one I relate to. It was a very different experience, and it made me very, very, very emotional.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, and they like mentioned, like the fact that like the ceremony you're watching is like not legal everywhere.
Right.
I don't know. It was a lot. It was really beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Ugh, I love the gay community. I do. I love them. My favorite couple growing up of all of my friends' parents, just to say I lie, was my friend Truman's dads. They were the most handsome, gorgeous couple I'd ever seen, I think, in my entire life. And ever since, I would like tell my parents, like, I want to have a gay wedding. It's not a gay child. Like, I always had crushes on boys. My parents were like, okay, but do you know that means like you're getting married to a woman? I was like, I like Trip and Luke. Like, I love their relationship. It just was like, they were such a cool, fun couple to me in a way that all the straights just weren't.
Yeah.
Just love a gay wedding.
Yeah. I can't even imagine what that would have been like to have a friend as a child who had two dads. Like, that would have been crazy.
You didn't have?
No.
Yeah.
Rural Vermont, baby? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No, I think it was good. It's like really cool for the whole classroom.
No, it's like, it's
that.
so boring and lame to say it, but it's like representation matters. Like, it's just like, it is like, that was like, I think part of what made me so emotional was to like realize like, I like, part of why like I've maybe at times in my life said like, like I don't really care about marriage, or like, like XYZ isn't everything to me, is because like it wasn't for me growing up.
Right.
I was not shown the version of it that was for me.
Right.
And that's like kind of intense to think about.
That's so beautiful.
Not that I think that like marriage is like required to make, but like the idea of like long-term committed partnership.
Right.
Even that, which it becomes really synonymous with marriage in like our culture.
Right.
Even just that being like framed in that way. It's interesting.
I'm so happy for you.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, it's so nice.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you had such a nice weekend with that.
Yeah, but I cried so much.
Yeah, no, do people like look at you?
Well, because my roommate, I live with a married couple, one of whom held it together, and then the other one also fully lost it.
Right.
So we were really kind of just like,
right.
Like just really going, which I mean, like, I think, I don't know, the thing is like, if I'm getting married and I look out and you're not sobbing, you don't love me enough.
Right.
So I was like, okay, yes, like I'm giving them the show. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I wasn't like wailing and calling attention to myself, but I was like crying. And I think that adds a nice emotional heft to the moment for people.
That's beautiful. My favorite thing about them is already that they gave you this beautiful experience, but also that they kept the wedding in New York. I automatically love them.
Chic. It was so chic.
Beautiful. It's respectful to your guests. Like, there's so much. I've never daydreamed about my wedding, even as a little girl. I've only been able to daydream about like the ways in which my guests will like thank me for making it convenient for them. Like, I've only been able to think of like things that are wrong that I won't do.
Say it with me on 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. No kids. No kids.
I didn't even know what you were gonna say, but obviously,
no kids.
It's not even a question.
There were kids at this wedding, and they were incredibly well behaved. I will say that. Like, It didn't bother me. But like at my wedding, ooh, you need to be 27. Like,
that makes sense. Like, Hannah Berner made the mistake of inviting me to her wedding. I would never.
Did you cause a scene?
Oh my God. Like a 23-year-old me at Hannah Berner's wedding, I actually like texted her the next day and was like, you shouldn't have invited me. I made her like let me try on her rings.
Okay, Talia. She should not have invited you. That's crazy.
So I'm like just waking up now. No, like I was a menace at that wedding. I was also like a secondary guest. Like we had become friends recently.
Totally.
After she sent out the wedding invites, but she was like, I really want you to come. Can you please come? I felt so honored to be there. It was one of my first like weddings as a big girl living alone in New York.
Which is a very exciting thing. Going to your first like a friend's wedding as an adult that isn't like your cousin or like is so fun.
It's huge. So naturally I gave a blowjob on the beach and had the time of my life.
Iconic.
No, it was really fun though. I had the best time at that wedding. Anyways, oh yeah, so no kids at the wedding, but I blanked out as you were saying 1, 2, 3. What was my thing? I just like heavily believe that if you're going to have no guests at your wedding, then your wedding is about you. But if you're going to have guests at the wedding, it's about the guest experience. Like, I'm sorry, you give yourself up. You need to be willing to spend the extra money and go the extra mile to like not make it an inconvenience. I also feel the same way about birthday parties. Like, you're asking people to come and celebrate you. Mm-hmm. That in itself is like you're asking people to go out of their way, take time, buy you a gift, dress up for you, come out of their way to do it.
100%.
Just to make you feel good and to make you feel loved. You need to treat them to some things. If you're going to have a destination wedding, have a destination wedding, like, and don't put pressure on people to attend.
Yeah. It's really funny because you're like, I hate saying when I was your age because it sounds
no, it doesn't.
It sounds condescending, but like when I was your age, I went through this exact thing where I realized that like I was entering a period of my life where I was going to have to go to weddings that are essentially like vacations you don't consent to and don't get to make any decisions about, but do pay for.
Right.
And I had like an absolute mental breakdown about it and then just got over it and went to them. Like it is just the reality of it is like, yeah, you're going to go to towns you don't care about and you're going to spend like anywhere between like $300 to $1,000 being like on like the gift, you know what I mean? And it's just like, that's the reality of it.
So fucking stupid. Like, your friends are going to celebrate you. Make it easier on them. If you're going to have a wedding I think
it's like have the wedding you want, but you can't expect people to come.
Right.
Like, I think that's the actual thing. Cause like, I understand if like you live in New York, but you're like, I've always dreamed of having a wedding in the woods. Like, that's actually totally fine with me. But like, I think if someone says like, hey, I actually can't swing your wedding, you have to understand that we like live in a different time where everything is really expensive and people like, you know, your friends like financially, like where also maybe you don't know what people are going through financially.
Right.
I just think that like you should, if people are like, I can't swing coming to your wedding, you have to accept that.
Right. I don't know. I just think like in terms of budgeting and whatever, like if I find out that you went on like a $1 honeymoon, but you couldn't swing like having
open bar,
I don't know, an open bar or like a bus from the ceremony to the party venue, like fuck you.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like invest in your guests. If you want this kind of wedding, if you're going to ask me to come, like don't make it hell for me to get there.
Well, 100%, because that's the other thing. It's like, do you want your wedding to go down in everyone's memory as like the things people bitch about? Because like, guess what? Like this wedding I went to this weekend, going down in infamy is one of my favorite weddings I've ever gone to.
Something that was so meaningful and fun
and
for
I
you.
think that cosmic energy will fortify their marriage and keep them together longer. So,
amen.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to calls.
Okay.
Hey guys, I love the podcast and I'm calling in because I'm in my first like real relationship. I am in my early 20s and it's the first time that I've really been in love with someone and it's been reciprocated. And so far it's been a really healthy, loving relationship. But recently, I've kind of noticed that he is in love with me to another level where it's like kind of extreme, and he's become really emotionally dependent on me. And I am incredibly independent and emotionally mature and aware, and at a time in my life where I'm like very career driven and have a lot of other priorities that can't just be him. And the kind of imbalance has been making me really uncomfortable. But I really love this man, and I really do want him in my life, and I just don't know how to tell him that it makes me uncomfortable without literally crushing his like entire heart and being. And yeah, I just don't really know how to talk to him. So anything of help and advice would be awesome. You guys rock. Peace out.
Can I have a cocktail, please? Congrats on having this relationship. It genuinely sounds like you love this man.
Also, this is the best problem to have because honestly,
yeah,
as everyone says, and this is the truth. You want a lasting straight relationship, the guy has to be a little bit more into the girl. This is too much. Obviously, we're going to address the problem. But
the only person I've ever heard say that is Jill's Aaron.
Sorry, but it's like, I know that it's like problematic advice somewhat. It's the truest advice ever. Like truly long lasting straight relationships, the girl is never like kind of chasing or in the back of their head doubting about the guy. Like it's always the guy who wants the girl just a smidge more. And it's always the better situation to be in. Like it really is. It is. It's like you're honestly winning. It's a problem though. No, the dependence is a problem. But oh my God, congrats on like, what I think is cool is how well you know yourself and how you're like.
Well, also I was saying you're at the perfect spot to address this because it's just starting.
Right.
Because the problem is he's not depending on you yet. He's trying to.
Right.
And you can't let him. Because once he does, it's really hard to unlearn that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think what you need to do is I think you need to sit down and think about because like the language you just used with us is a little too vague to go to him with. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you're depending on me too much is like not specific enough, I think. Because he'll be like, in what ways do you mean? Where it's like,
right.
If you can go to him specifically and be like, hey, like, this is a complete hypothetical, but like, hey, like, you like, I have to like talk you through every day what you're going to have for lunch. I need that to be something you figure out on your own. You know what I mean? Like that's a specific example of something that is like the dependency. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That seems like a frivolous thing, but I'm just trying to think of like something specific.
Right.
It's like, I think you need to give specific examples of where are the spaces in his life where he is depending on you, where you need him to be independent, and see if he's willing to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Right. I wish she gave us an example so I could understand what is an example of him like relying on her.
I empathize with her very deeply because I am also someone who is very, very, very independent. And so are you.
Thanks. I was waiting for you to say that.
Did you see how mad Talia got that I suggested she might not be independent?
God damn. I'm someone who's independent. Hello. Like we get along in every
one could argue right now
life.
you're depending on me to validate your independence.
Whatever.
Anyway.
Go ahead.
My point is I've started to think a lot about like as like someone who's now single and like in some regards like looking to get into a relationship again at some point. Mm-hmm. It's like thinking about, like what are the things that are important to me to be independent about, and what are the things I'm willing to like collaborate with someone on in my life, you know? And I think you need to think about that, and you need to talk to him about what are the spaces in which you feel like he's depending on you that you can't show up for him in, and don't think you should have to, right? You know. Because I think that those are healthy boundaries to set, and you just have to set them early because it's much easier to never give something to someone than it is to take away something you've been giving.
Totally. That was very profound. I disagree, but it was
profound.
Okay,
how do you disagree? I'm so curious. I thought I slam dunked that for us.
You did slam dunk it for us, and if she decides to go with your advice, that would be a good decision.
I'm so excited that your advice is
but
different.
I also think that like there's another option here. Like yours is perfect, but there's another option.
Is yours to break up with him?
No, of course not.
No, I don't know.
My advice is not always break up with him.
That's what I wasn't accusing you of that.
But it is my advice a lot of the time. Obviously, like if this starts to become a stress on your life, break up with him. But no, I'm serious. When you're talking with a man, a straight man who is so wonderful and loving and clearly seems great in all aspects except lacking a little bit in this one, you always run the risk of him being a man and being a little ego driven and a little bit humiliated and not handling humiliation perhaps as well as a woman might or even a gay man might. Like he's a straight guy who's being told by a woman essentially all he's going to hear you say, no matter how specific you are and how nice you are about it, is like, back the fuck off. He's literally going to take it that way. That is my belief. That's like honestly what I think is the most likely scenario, is he's going to interpret it as like, alert, 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 girl wants boy to back off, like girl in power position. Like it's just going to be very hard for him to feel. Jesus Christ. I think that the way to like deal with men, particularly straight men in a relationship, is like you have to understand that he's going to be very thrown. You have to always like make him feel like he's the one making decisions, right? Even though he's not. Like you have to make him feel like he's the one who called the shots. I really do think that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Has every single man you've dated been like this?
At the end of the day, yes. Like, and I think that that's not, I love a lot of my exes. Like, I really am friend. There's there's only one like actual ex that I have that I'm not friends with anymore. Like, I really think I have a good little picker. I have a good radar. But I just think read any book about men and women in relationships. Like this is what you have to do if you really want to avoid, like if you want, this guy sounds perfectly mature and nice. He's not going to break up with you for this. It's not going to cause a big fight. If you go with Jake's route, if you talk about it calmly and with specific examples, you're going to move past it. And yeah, he might change. I'm sure he will. If you want to get this done faster and more efficiently, take my advice. Don't fucking talk to him. You're going to make him think it was his idea to get some space, okay? You're going to start backing off from him. You're going to start taking longer to reassure him. You're going to start taking a little longer to respond to his texts saying, oh my God, like call me, haven't talked to you in so long, whatever. You're going to like go full days without talking to him. And then at the end of the day, give him tons of love and happiness and be like, oh, missed you so much, had such a busy day, but I'm so glad I was so productive. And now I can be with you again.
Okay, wait, what's interesting is that in some ways this is the same advice.
In some ways it is.
Because it's basically we're both just saying, don't give this man something you don't want to give him.
Right.
I'm just saying, tell him that you're going to do that. And you're saying, just do it.
Don't tell him.
And I actually almost now think, I don't know whose advice is better.
If you want a straight guy to do something quicker and better, make him think it was his idea, period. That is my advice like 90% of the time. Like he has to think it was his idea. And that's just the way that a lot, not all, but most of the men work better. Like they do things better when they think that they came up with it.
That's so interesting.
When you sit him down, no matter how sweet you are about it, he's gonna feel like a little baby being told by his mommy that he's being rejected. That's how he's gonna take it. It doesn't make him a bad person. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way that he will interpret it because he's sensitive and ego driven.
Oh my God.
And you're stepping on his ego by being the woman who's telling him to back off. He knows that it's supposed to be in society the other way around. So he's not going to like it and he's going to react weird. He might start icing you out for a long time in a weird way. He might get really sensitive and it'll become a whole thing. Don't talk about it. Don't tell him. Just back off and he'll start feeling a little bit, just make him feel a little bit insecure that he's being a little bit needy, okay? He will stop being as needy because he'll be scared that he's being needy. He doesn't want to have the conversation. He doesn't want to put himself in a position ever where a woman is telling him to back off. So he needs to make you start to feel a little bit insecure. What he doesn't know is that he's not making you feel insecure. He's making you feel perfectly independent, validated, and happy. So let him be the one who steps back. You make him step back a little bit. you act a little bit disinterested. And at the end of the day, if you're worried about being disinterested and whether this will be bad for your relationship, if it'll make him like you less, when has a girl acting a little bit less interested in a guy ever made him like her less? It's only going to make him love you more, but it's going to make him behave differently and show it differently. I say don't address it, but do what Jake did just without the conversation.
Okay, I'm not going to I think we're both going to, I'm not going to back off from my argument either, but I think we're both in agreement that the other person's advice is good. We just would do it differently.
Completely agree.
Wow, that really made me feel a lot of different emotions. Wait, how many times would you guess I've cried in the past 24 hours?
How many times have you cried?
In the past 24 hours.
I think it's like been an emotional day for you. You're on your period or something.
I mean, well, if you had to guess the number of times.
3.
4.
Wait, the wedding?
I cried. Well, okay.
That wasn't even 24 hours ago.
No, that was like a long time ago.
Wow.
It was like 5 days ago. I also drove yesterday I drove to Rhode Island to cook my grandfather dinner on his birthday.
That's so cute. What? You went all the way there?
Yeah, I mean, it was a 4.5 hour drive.
That is so nice, Jake.
He was turning 86.
Oh my God. My grandparents made me come visit them for the first time in a year, and I stayed with them for 10 hours and then I left.
Okay, well, I've just been feeling emotional. And then I had a car and I was listening to podcasts and just like feeling about
so
I've just been feeling just burped really disgustingly. No, but I've been feeling a lot of feelings, so I cried 4 times in the 2 different car rides.
You've been feeling a lot of feelings. Wow.
It's good. Feelings are good.
It's really good to feel feelings.
How often do you cry?
I cried a lot. I think like once my situationship broke it off with me, 11th junior year of college, and then COVID hit the same day. I like cried so much in that span of like 5 months that I like never had to cry again. Like I actually think that I got all my tears out. Since that day, I've cried maybe once every 3 months.
That's so Cameron Diaz in The Holiday Coded.
What? What did you just say?
Do you not speak my language? That was a very clear statement. You guys know.
I haven't seen the movie in a while, but I believe you.
She's never cried since her dad walked out. And she can't cry and she can't feel emotion because she turned all of her emotions off. And then
yeah, that's how I feel about my
okay. So you just need to have sex with Jude Law and then find out he's a loving, perfect father.
Jude Law.
He's so hot in that movie.
So
okay,
sweet.
Next call.
I do love their little cottage in that movie. Wait, what happens at the end? Does she like move there with him?
Yeah, she ends up with him. No, they I think they permanently swap, or maybe they both end up with the other part. Like
yeah, obviously, but like, do they move?
I think
she has a huge trailer cutting career.
Yeah, but that is like, of all the jobs that can go remote, like she can do that in.
No, I don't like her leaving LA.
Maybe,
I think the girl, she should become the stepmom and they should move with her to LA with the guy, and she should
You can't
continue.
take 2 kids out of healthcare, like, and move them into like our system. So they can.
Such a funny conversation.
It's just like, no.
Jack Black could work from anywhere. Jack Black should be the one who moves
if I'm an
England.
English kid, I'm an English kid, and my dad's like, sorry, we're moving to America for this woman I married. I'm like, you're moving me to the school shooting capital of the world with no health insurance for this woman?
You forget how rich that woman was. The place where she lived, I'm sure those 2 kids would see that mansion and in a second be like, all right, America it is. Also, they like wanted a mommy. They liked her from what I remember, right? They didn't know what was going on. They'd be like, yeah, sure.
Okay, whatever.
They'd be down.
Second call.
Hi, Charlie and Jake. I love listening to you guys' advice and feeling like I'm on FaceTime with you guys. I just had a question because I've been trying to go on this journey of love being single and not needing male validation and focus on myself and well-being and having this almost like fuck man. I'm an independent woman personality, but at the same time, I'm trying to balance that. I find that whenever I do meet someone, I put so many barriers up so I don't get hurt and do my best to keep feelings out of it. So how can I reach this good balance of focus on myself, but if someone does come along, try to be true and let them in, if that makes sense. I love you both so much. Thank you.
Love you too.
I love you. Should we call my mom? She's been trying to lecture me on this like every time we've been on the phone.
Wait, really?
Her whole problem with me is like, now that I'm like feminist queen, anti-male validation, she's like, you're never gonna get married. You've put up all these barriers. You're never gonna find love.
Okay. Here's I have things to say.
Yeah.
You seem so angry.
What?
You're just like
I just relate to this call
No,
so much,
I
and
know.
I'm pissed that I can't really give advice on it because I'm in it.
Well,
I'm in it right now.
I'm in it too, but I've been thinking about this. Okay, here's the thing: is I think that the word validation is a word we've like thrown around too much. We've like muddied its meaning because we're like, don't go to men or don't go to like your romantic people for validation, and it's like yes, but like the word validation is like making you feel valid. Not making you feel good, making you feel valid, like deserving of existence and real, right? So it's like, yeah, don't go, like, you have to know yourself and know your worth, but you're allowed to like let someone in to make you feel good. And that's not getting male validation. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like someone being like, you look so hot. Wait, I have to.
What? What? I'm just listening intently.
No, this talking about something reminded me of something I meant. I was like, I have to tell Talia this.
What?
Which is I recently received the craziest, my new favorite message online ever on a gay dating app. This is the message I received.
What?
Oh my God, you look so hot. Parentheses, bear. Bear.
Did he mean you're a bear?
I don't know. Oh my God, you look so hot. Parentheses, bear.
I love Grindr.
It was scruff.
It was scruff. Wait, what's the difference?
One's just, like scruff's like a little bit nicer of an app, I guess.
Nicer.
I don't know. But yeah, anyway, back to this. Back to getting male validation.
Anyways, so Jake gives really good advice, bear. But I'm never gonna give you a compliment. Do you think he meant like for a bear? Or like that he's a bear and he's giving you? Was it like saying like blah 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 in parentheses derogatory? Like I do that all the time.
Look at me. I've given you all the information I have.
What did he look like?
I don't even remember. I like immediately read it, blacked out, screenshotted it, and texted it to like 9 people being like, I'm losing my mind.
Oh my God.
Okay. We have to help this caller.
Okay.
Wait, but back to what I was saying.
Okay.
I think as a new thing I am trying to...
Just like in a weird position.
Just
yes.
like, oh my God. A new thing I am trying to be more open to.
Now I'm gonna giggle. Why did you share that anecdote?
You are freaking out. You are losing your mind. You're just showing your ass to the camera in such a crazy way. Okay, this has to stop. This has to stop.
Do I have like a period standard?
Parentheses bear is really sending you to the moon.
The title of this episode is Advice Parentheses Bear. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I got a little distracted, but go ahead. It's like when, you know, in class, when like one kid, like the teacher like lets you kind of laugh for a second and then you can't focus.
Here's my new dream is that I hope I get cast on the next season of The Bear and then get nominated for an Emmy so that it says like in my nominations, it says like,
Jake Cornell,
it's like best
Bear.
supporting actor, Jake Cornell, parentheses, The Bear.
Oh my God.
Okay.
You and Io, I'll be rooting for you.
Okay. What was I saying? Oh, I really care about this advice and I hate that I fucked it up with this anecdote. Anyway.
Okay.
Hi, caller. Something I am trying to be much more open to in this new round of dating since like re-entering the world is being very open to getting hurt. Because
Can't relate.
Okay, but listen, look at me. Listen, you know, I don't like telling you what to do, but like I hated that I did that.
So afraid of like
No,
being
I just
the
felt
man.
gross. Like being
Okay.
like, look at me. Like it felt bad.
I'm looking at you.
Okay, but here's the thing. Being afraid of getting hurt and protecting myself from getting hurt, I think and this is not just about dating. This is about like career stuff. This is about like my whole life in an extent, is like not putting yourself out there for the things you really want because that's how you get hurt. So instead, settling for things you know you can get. You'd be okay not getting. You know you can achieve. Like not putting yourself at risk. Whereas the thing is, I've gotten hurt many times and I'm literally fine.
Right.
So why not keep doing it? Because that's how I'm gonna get closer to things I actually want. And it's like there's a difference between going to these things for validation of like, I exist. I don't know who I am. I don't know if I'm real unless someone's like telling me I'm sexy or whatever.
Right.
And going after someone you really want, and then if they're not into it, you'll be fine. But it will hurt, and that's okay, because like life's supposed to hurt. I don't think we're meant to go through life completely protecting ourselves from like every injury.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
No participation trophies either.
No.
For these pussies. Okay. I'm gonna look away from you now. Is that okay? I think we're having the exact same problem. My mom is pissed about it. I don't think it's that big of a fucking deal. But you do get a little bit sick of being numb too. Like, it does get boring. Here's what happens when you decide you're gonna not get hurt, and the way that you're gonna do that is like limit the male connection or whatever that you have in your life, the dating connections that you have in your life. You wind up like me a year later, who has to like schedule out, like make herself go on Hinge dates, or else she's like told her friends to yell at her. Like, that's what I have to do to socialize. Like, and now all that I look forward to is like the one Hinge date that I go on a week where I'm like, maybe I'll want to kill myself. Maybe I'll have some fun a little bit. Maybe I'll have like a cute little makeout. Like, that's what's going on in my life. And that's the only exciting thing.
Do you see a path right now out of that?
Yes, and it's working. But like, you just like, in protecting yourself from getting hurt by limiting your exploration with men, what happens is that you're going to limit how many men you meet. And that means that the next one that's really good is going to hurt so much fucking worse than if you just went on a couple dates and met a couple okay ones. Like, you have to, my advice always is like, I see dating now not so much as a means for validation like I used to, a means for like seeing myself as desirable. But now I see it as like a fun thing for me to do on a Thursday night. Like, it's just a fun way for me to go out, get a drink, and meet somebody and have a conversation and get a new perspective on the world. Like, it's just, I see it as a vehicle for storytelling, for conversation, for getting to know the area that I'm in. Like, I always like to see guys in different neighborhoods of the city so that I can at least adventure to a different neighborhood. And if I didn't like the date, at least I saw a different part. At least I like went to Washington Heights for the first time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to like see this. If you are having a hard time separating dating and romance from like an addiction to male validation, which we literally are all programmed to have to some degree, you need to start associating dating with something other than male validation and just assume that the need and the fear of hurt and the need to connect and be liked by the guy is going to melt away.
Yeah.
I went on a date with such a hot guy last night. Probably the first time I've gone on a date that I actually really enjoyed in a while. And I think that if it were 3 years ago, I'd genuinely be thinking all day long about like, why hasn't he texted me? Or like, is he going to text me now? Or did he like me back? Like, even though I went on this date and was like, he's really cute and I really liked him, but I'm not thinking about marrying him. I'm not like putting my name with his last name yet. Like, I'm not like in that headspace. I'm not obsessed. Right. But I would be obsessed with the idea of like, why does he like me back? Whereas like now I just like, I'm kind of excited that I like went on a good date and it kind of restored my hope a little bit in like dating in New York. And tomorrow I'll like look on Hinge again. Like, I don't really care if he texts me. It was just like a fun night.
Great.
Does that make sense? I know it's like easier said than done, but like the only way to get there is to just keep doing it. You have to just keep dating and try to see it as like just a thing to do rather than like a way to be validated, and you'll fake it till you make it. And eventually you'll stop seeing it as like a vehicle through which you're validated.
And getting hurt does like it's not going to kill you.
It's not going to kill you. That's also great advice that she gave. Like, you're not, the more you get hurt is like really the only way to like to get stronger is like fall and get back up, fall and get back up. Yeah. So I don't know. It should apply to every area of your life. Like, you're just going to have to do it.
Call 3.
Yep.
Hi there. So I just listened to your podcast today about breakups, and I don't know if I'm a little late, but give this a try. I met a guy last summer, and we like casually dated. I was moving away abroad, and he's actually Italian. So it was pretty low-key all summer, and then I moved. And then we kind of kept in contact. And then in January, he was home for the holidays in Italy, and I was over there, and he planned
a birthday trip for me to Budapest. So we went for 5 days and it was wonderful. And then I came home in February and saw him, spent like the whole week with him basically. And then I went back abroad and we had plans to, cause he was going to go home for the summer and I was going to stay over there and maybe stay with him for a little bit, and shit kind of hit the fan. I had to come back, and he took that as like me not prioritizing him. He's a little older than I am, not by like 6 years. And so we stopped talking a little bit, but I just kind of assumed, you know, when I come back home and he comes back, that we would rekindle things. I literally think this man is like the love of my life. I don't know if I'm delusional. And yesterday he reached out because he's flying back here where I am in 10 days. And he was like, I have someone. I've been seeing someone, so that's the problem. That's why I haven't really been talking to you. But he does want to meet up and catch up, and I don't know what to do. And that's it. So any advice you have
that twist hit. That hits.
Thank you guys. Love you guys. Bye.
Reminds me so much of my junior year situationship.
I mean, the abroad.
I've never cried harder, girl.
The abroad, like everyone's in like a different place and we're like spending 5 days together. Like everyone's had that situation that goes on, and it's like you spend like a really intense week together and then you don't see each other for 2 months. That is like the ultimate recipe for like devastating yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like we've all gone through that. You know what I mean?
It's just like
I feel like I had that with this guy my senior year of college, or like my junior and senior year of college, where I would like go see him for a weekend or like a week at a time, and then like not see him or really talk all that much for like 3 months, then do it again. And it's like, if I had actually dated this guy for like 2 consistent months, like in a city we lived in, we would have like literally not dated.
Right.
But like, because we did these really concentrated like things, it was like
you only got the good parts and then the fantasy.
And then like this like long fantasy, and then it was like when it ended, I was like devastated for like a couple weeks. Like it wasn't,
right.
But like it's really, and now I look back and I'm like, oh, like who? Like
right.
It's just so, that specific recipe is so tough. And I don't want to invalidate you by saying like this guy isn't the love of your life. Like your situation could be different and maybe he is, but like that pattern of hanging out always makes someone go crazy for the person. Always.
It's just like the perfect storm. So you're not crazy for like believing. And again, yeah, I'm totally with you. When somebody says like, I really hate the inclination to like scoff at somebody young saying like, I think this is the love of my life. I believe people when they say, oh, I think I've met somebody who I connect with more than anybody else. Like, you know yourself. I just fucking hate that. Like, we can't like take it seriously when a young person is like, sounds crazy, but I think he's the one. You don't meet that many people like that you like that much. I'm sure he is a one. He is a big love of your life. But I'm going to give
it's also like, if you've never felt this way about someone, you could die tomorrow. And
right.
then they were the love of your
then
life.
They
so
were.
like it can be
they matter right now. Like totally.
That's such a good point.
I just like, it just really pisses me off. Like people are so inclined to laugh at like love of my life, and there's going to be people listening to this who are like, yeah, right. Like you think it's love of your life, then you'll meet the next one. It's like you're going to have a couple, and I believe in all of them. I'm sure he was a certain
whatever.
Love. You know what I mean? Regardless,
someone who has 4 people throughout their life who they say that is the love of their life, and they like have these intense relationships, is living a much more fulfilling and interesting life than someone who doesn't have a single one their entire life because they're not willing to say it.
Thank you. That was so beautifully said. Clip it.
But that ties back to like what I was clip it. Bear. But
let's talk about the holiday again. Anyway. So many running bits in this episode.
Yeah. This is one to like just watch the whole episode on YouTube, I feel like, because it's like,
I know. Wait, can I just give this girl some advice that she's not going to take for another year, but it's going to be important?
Yeah, and then I have specific advice for this thing.
Would the love of your life ever make you feel like this confused and unwanted? Like, no.
Well, I'm going to say this. In terms of like the specific thing of right now, should you see him in 10 days? For me, hard no.
Hard no. And
you
that'll
want
be
to
best.
see him romantically, and he's seeing someone else and is not interested in seeing you romantically. And if he is, it certainly sounds like it's not a thing that he's allowed to do. Hard no. Tell him you want him to see him, like you're interested in him as the love of your life. If he is not available in that capacity, bye.
I think that's perfect advice. see him as only a serious relationship. Like, he's very serious to you. You're describing it as the love of your life. He's deeply serious.
Yeah.
He's trying to make it like playing around, but I want to be very careful here. We're not saying like, fuck this asshole, he's a fuckboy.
No, but don't see, I'm talking specifically, he's coming in 10 days. You're not seeing him while he's seeing someone else.
Right.
It's not, that's
You're
not
gonna
what
tell
you
him, like,
want.
you can say, no, I like don't see us as like being people who hang out when we're not together. Like, you're very serious to me.
Yes.
Don't be mad at him. Just start the getting over him process now, and it'll only serve you because it'll make him like you more if you back off. But be like, it's going to be a hard thing to say no to and resist. Don't see him. Start doing the whole self-care, getting over it. Like, the cycle of getting over it will now begin, starting right now. Forget that he's coming. Wipe it from your memory. Make other plans that day and fill the day with all kinds of stuff far away from where he is.
I would say, get out of town.
Get
Go
out of
somewhere
town.
else.
You're not there. You're not there. You can respond to him. You don't have to be cold. You don't have to be mean. Be like, no, I'm sorry. I'm not in town that day. I'm really busy. I have whatever. You're not here. You don't see this guy when he's dating somebody else. It's not good for you. It's not good for him. It's not fair to the other girl. It's not fair to the arc of your relationship, which you might get back together one day because he's one of the loves of your life. Don't see him.
Yeah, hard
He's not
no.
a casual
Hard
hookup
no.
for you.
It's a hard no.
It's a hard no. Treat it like serious. Like, it's serious, which it is. You're not going to see him unless you're dating. And that'll help you get over it, and it'll only make him like you more. So it's a win-win-win.
Totally.
Let him hook up with this girl. He'll get over it. It happens. He just hasn't seen you in a minute. And he's not going to until he's single again. That's what's going to happen. Period. Is that it?
I think that's all the calls.
God.
Did we do it?
We slayed.
We did it. Parentheses bear last time. Okay, guys, rate and review the podcast. Tell your friends about it. We have some really exciting stuff coming up in some new episodes.
Please tell friends.
And the number is, wait, I think I can do the number from memory. Can you look and see if I get it right? I think the number is 929-9960. And if I'm wrong, we're going to have the editor bleep that so that they don't hear the wrong number. But I think that's the number.
Hold on. We're so dumb. Or I guess I am. Okay, it's 929-269-4960. Was that what you said?
That's what I said. 929. Wait, I think I said 469. 929-269-4960. Okay, bleep the earlier number that I said wrong if it was wrong, and then put that one in. Wasn't that fun, guys? Okay, we love you. We'll talk to you next week.
Wasn't that fun, guys?
Bye.
Bye.